So I've been saying that Captain Marvel could potentially be a flop. But recently I've been thinking, will it? And the reason I ask that is because I just had a look at the Marvel release schedule for this year, and it's put me in two minds as to whether this film is going to do well, or whether Marvel think it's going to do well, or whether they think it's going to do badly. Captain Marvel is set to release only 1 month before Avengers Endgame. It's a bit odd. It's a bit odd, because realistically they could have placed Endgame at any point in the year. They could have placed Endgame in the death month of September, and it still would have made $1.5 billion, you know. This film is going to bring in the money anyway, so it's weird that they've placed it so close to Captain Marvel. Endgame's proximity to Captain Marvel has made me think two things. One is that they're not confident in the film at all, and they want to try and use Endgame as a reason for its failure, saying, oh, people waited to see Endgame, they didn't want to see Captain Marvel maybe because they wanted to save their money. And that could be a realistic way they try and shield Captain Marvel from a bad box office result, because they could say, well, maybe we misplaced the film in the year, maybe we should have spread it out more, and that's why the film didn't do as well as we thought it would. The alternative to that is that they want to use Endgame as a piggyback ride for Captain Marvel. Now, what I mean by that is, you're in two boats with Avengers Endgame. Actually, you're in three boats. Let's go with three. Anyone who sees Captain Marvel is definitely gonna go and see Avengers Endgame. So they're in this predicament here where they have people who are not gonna go see Captain Marvel, but they're gonna try and persuade back to see the film after Endgame. Clever, I think, is probably the more likely option of what they're trying to do here and the motivation. But, you know, it works both ways. That they could flip a switch and say, oh no, it's this, oh no, it's this. So it's sort of been cleverly done in a way, whereas if it's successful, they can say, oh, it's such a huge success, and if it's a failure, there are reasons for the failure. It's intelligent. There's the first person, people who have seen every single film multiple times, regardless of how good or bad Captain Marvel is, they're gonna go and see Endgame. Then you have these other two people. Let's say the first one's called Jeff.
My name is Jeff. It's Jefe, man.
That's his name. So there's this guy called Jeff over here, alright? Jeff is standing over here. He didn't see Captain Marvel, but he's going to see Avengers Endgame. This person here has two options. Either now they're going to go back and watch Captain Marvel, because I think what Marvel are going to do with Endgame is they're going to say to the people who haven't seen Captain Marvel, you need to see it to understand Endgame. I really think she's going to have that much of a crucial role in the film, much to my disliking, because, well, there's all these other characters that have been in the universe for 10 plus years that we've seen of, and they're just going to chuck them away. But they're going to do this so that you have to see Captain Marvel to properly understand Endgame. So they're using this as a sort of second way for people to see the film. Alternatively, you got Uganda Knuckles over here.
Do you know the way?
Now, Uganda Knuckles doesn't give a shit about Captain Marvel, but went to see Avengers Endgame because it's got Iron Man in it and Captain America in it. The real captain of the MCU. Now, Uganda Knuckles walks out of the cinema and goes, I didn't like that character, but I'm not going to go see a film anyway. Like, I'm not going to do that. So that person is the result they don't want. They don't want someone to have watched Avengers Endgame and then said, I don't want to watch Captain Marvel. But that could be a realistic option. And if the My Name Jeff scenario comes into play, Captain Marvel could make another 15-20% total box office worldwide. So they've put themselves in this position where either this film is going to make even more money, or it's not going to do as well. So if Captain Marvel is well received in Avengers Endgame, I mean, the total box office for Captain Marvel could jump 15 or 20% worldwide. You know, it really could happen. It's completely possible. And regardless whether I want it or not, Captain Marvel is going to have a huge place in the MCU going forward, unless a film is a flop or doesn't make as much money as they think it will. Box office wise for the film, I've sort of up my number slightly because of this. I do think it's the secondary scenario where they're hoping that Captain Marvel will get a second wave and earn an extra 100+ million after it's had its main run because of Avengers Endgame. So I'm going to put my number at between 650 million and 750 million worldwide, probably. I mean, I'm going to ballpark a figure and say 675 worldwide. This film is not making 650 million domestically in America and Canada. It's just not. Don't be stupid, all right? If it does, hey, I've been proved wrong. I'll slap myself on the face on bloody camera, but I don't think this film is making $650 million. It has the potential to make upwards of 750, but I think it also has the potential, if it's bad and people don't like it, and the real fans, and I say real fans because they're the ones who buy the comics, they're the ones who buy the merchandise, they're the ones who go to cons. If they don't like it, and they don't see it 3, 4, 5 times, the film could realistically, you know, top out at 450. And that would be a flop for them. That would really be a flop. It would be the lowest. That would be the lowest grossing film since like Thor, the first Captain America, I think made like $370 million. It would really be the first relative flop since The Incredible Hulk in a way, because all the other films made some type of money. If this film makes only 500 million, 450 to 500, I don't think it would have even broken even. It depends on the budget, but it doesn't look like a cheap film. Like, it's at least 180 million, you know, for the production. 675 million worldwide, 235 million domestic is what I'm gonna go with. So, it's not a bad haul. Could be better, could be worse, but pretty mid-range for a Marvel film nowadays. So decent. The weird thing is, if it somehow does make like 500 domestic, I don't necessarily think that's a good thing for Endgame, because it's probably taking out of the money which Endgame would make. I think they probably should have spaced the films out a little bit more, maybe by 3 or 4 weeks, just to let Captain Marvel actually have a run. And then they could have brought it back in cinemas if they really wanted to, if they thought there was an appetite for it. But they're presumptively doing that, I think, because they assume that people are going to want to see the film after they've seen Endgame. So will it flop? No, I don't think it's going to flop. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be as much of a runaway hit as, you know, main media outlets are saying it is. I mean, that 650 number domestically is absolutely bonkers. And if you're going to put that expectation and that hype on it, it's just going to be a disappointment if it makes anything less than that. So I think they've sort of shot themselves in the foot by saying that these are the numbers they're expecting potentially. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Miss Marvel herself is going to come after you. She is brooding. She is apparently sassy with the last trailer. And you don't want that. You really don't. So just subscribe anyway to avoid that. I've been Narendra the Comic. You've been great, and I'll see you next time. Skadoosh.